Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the the 808 podcast. It is a podcast where we take business owners, CEOs, marketing directors, whoever else I feel like, 4 questions in 8 minutes and 8 seconds because 808 looks like Bob. And here we go. Question number 1, in a few sentences, tell me who you are and what do you do?
My name is Juan Betancourt. I'm Cuban American, just like Jeff Bezos of Amazon. I went to Harvard and Wharton from MBA. I have a 2-year-old daughter and a 20-month-old son, a 20-day-old son. And I worked at Procter & Gamble, Puma, Decathlon, Siebel Systems, and was a top recruiter at Heidrick & Struggles and Korn Ferry before I launched my own search firm, did that very successfully. With that money, I founded Humantelligence in 2016. So I've been running that the last 5 years. Humantelligence is a B2B enterprise software company that takes analytics and psychometrics, kind of like Moneyball for HR, and we measure, manage, and hire for culture for companies. We're actually the first company to accurately measure culture at a company with data.
I love that. I love the simple explanation of your Moneyball for HR. Let's get to question number 2. What advice do you want to share, Juan? Go.
Yeah, so I think regarding culture, everybody thinks that they have one culture. Well, actually, no, culture is different by department. So Coca-Cola's finance and accounting department should have a very different culture than the marketing and sales team. A Starbucks culture in Miami, where it's all Latin customers and Latin employees, very different than culture of Starbucks up in a store of baristas in Boston. So engagement surveys are not your culture, and small companies should also look at culture. Now, how do you do it? First, you take an assessment, like personality tests, but made for teams and groups that you can roll the data up. Most assessments can't do that. We fortunately can. And so you take the assessment, give it to your employees, roll the data up, the system does it, and boom, you now have pictures and visuals of your team culture, divisional culture, and culture by geo, all the way up to the corporate culture. Simple.
Okay, so what are the things you've noticed with through all the data that you've done that certain companies do culturally that is wrong, that's messing things up, and what should they change?
Yeah, a lot of companies do it top down and say, hey, we're the executive team. We're going to state our inspirational culture, put on coffee mugs and t-shirts and force everybody to do it. And then do these kind of temperament surveys to see if people are happy and give lots of benefits to make sure they're happy and write positive things on Glassdoor. That will not go very long. It's not sustainable and it's not really your culture. You really need to understand if you have the right people in the right jobs and the right teams that align with culture, and it should change every couple of years. A startup that goes from 0 to 2 million should have a very different culture than from 2 to 10 million. From 10 million to 100 million. You need to measure it, culture, like a KPI, like any other thing in business that you manage. If you can't measure it, you can't optimize it. Most important thing at a company is the culture. You need to optimize it and align it to the new strategy every couple of years.
Love it, love it. Let's get to question number 3. It is time for shout outs. Juan, who are you shouting out?
So list of 4 or 5 people. So JP Capello, based here in Miami, is like a founder of like 20 different startups, successfully exited. Also has invested over 50 companies in Latin America. He's like a mentor to me and big brother. Rafe First, who's the founder of Crowdfunder and a couple cryptocurrencies, a spiritual brother to me who's done very well. John Oringer, who is the founder of Shutterstock, a good friend, lives in Miami. Lydia Jett, who works at SoftBank, helping support lots of entrepreneurs and startups. Mark Rampolla, founder of Zico Coconut Water, an early investor in Humantelligence, obviously very successful, sold it to Coca-Cola, mentor and friend to me. David Tunnell, senior partner at Hellman and Friedman, the 160 billion AUM private equity firm in San Francisco. Known him since I went to Harvard undergrad. He was my RA or dorm advisor. He basically bought Ultimate Software and bought Kronos Group, and basically merged them to form UKG. Today, the world's 6th biggest software company in the world with 12,000 employees, and they're leading the way to make HR software more human, not just automating processes, but letting everyone optimize who they are and be in their highest vibration, what they call now life tech work balance.
Perfect. Love it. I'll look those people up there. Number 4, Juan, this is the final question, the most important one. Tell me about your first sale.
Yeah, so when we launched this company, we were looking for that first client that was a brand or a logo that people would recognize, that's respected for culture management and industrial organizational psychology being applied at the highest levels, from CEO to vice presidents down to every employee. And so we were able to close Honda of North America, the car automotive manufacturing company. And so Honda has now been a client for 5 years, and every year we get more and more usage out of users at Honda. And today, everyone in Honda North America is on our platform, and we're extremely proud and happy about that. And it's actually led to being nominated the #1 supplier, the Honda Premier Partner Award for outstanding service, quality, et cetera. They only give it to 10 companies are nominated for it. Every year, we won it for 4 different years in these last 5 years.
Nice. That is awesome there. Congratulations. So now, Juan, you've got 3 minutes and 12 seconds left. So you can do some promo time. You can ask me a question. You can talk about the weather or your kids, whatever you want. I am flexible. Go for it.
So I guess want to just tell companies that Humantelligence is the first company that will help you align culture to strategy and have your company perform better and collaborate better. We have a new EQ Everywhere tool, or imagine getting the kind of personality tips and insights from a personality test, but they're all built into your Outlook, to your Microsoft Teams, to your Slack, whatever communication channel you have. You click on someone's name in your company, and obviously they would have had to take the assessment, and you'll get all these great tips in that workflow. It's really transformational. We today have clients like Lyft, Bank of the West, Merck, BASF, and several others that like Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola Latin America that are leveraging that tool and that powerful way of collaborating, not just while you're at a big company, but also while you're remote and hybrid, because today you don't really see other employees very much. So this is a great way to improve collaboration, even though you're not working in the same room.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, I haven't left this room for almost a year now. True story. that part there. So, hey, you got 2 minutes left. Is there anything else you want to add, or want? We can end early, and that's okay.
No, I think you got everything. We're up for a nomination for the Miami Herald annual startup pitch competition. So we're final 10, and it gets announced on May 17th. So look up miamiherald.com and on May 17th, and possibly you'll see Humantelligence as one of the hottest startups in Miami. And we're probably more successful or more long in the tooth, meaning we have lots of clients, so we're not a high risk product, that you can buy our product and know that we're going to be around for a long time.
Love it. Love it. You pulled it off. 4 questions in 8 minutes and 8 seconds. Juan, why is it 8 minutes and 8 seconds?
Because 808 looks like BOB, so 808 looks like Bob. As
love
in Bob
it. Love it there. Hey, your website, say it real quick.
Humantelligence.com.
It's in the description. It's magic. Juan, thank you so much for being on. Tip of the hat to you.
Back to you. Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome. And for everyone else watching and listening, I am legally required to tell you to like, share, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, whatever the heck the social media network tells you to do. You all have a wonderful day now. Talk to you later. Bye.